Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my review for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection TMNT crossover figures for Donny and Leo. So if you didn't know, these come from the Power Rangers Transformers crossover. No, I'm just kidding. These come from the Power Rangers TMNT crossover comic, which was actually a surprisingly great comic that I can highly recommend checking out. And this came from when the Turtles transformed into Rangers, obviously. Let's go ahead and get started as we usually do with the accessories, just going over the basics. Obviously, you have your basic lightning effects right there for both of them. You have your standard hands. The ones on them right now are kind of holding weapons hands, and they each have a set of kind of posed martial arts hands and your classic closed fist hands, which I like to call the figure art special. Then, of course, they each have a civilian head. Here is Donnie's, and both civilian heads honestly look really good. Like, I guess I'm not surprised they included them, but I'm definitely happy they did. They have a really good look to them, and it gives you a little bit of variety if you want to pose it with the turtle heads on. Here's Leo's looking a lot more grumpy, but I think they're overall really good, and I have a lot less complaints about like, oh, this doesn't look weird or it looks fake or strange, because they're not human heads, so it's kind of harder to screw up. But I'm happy they included these, because like I said, it gives nice variety, gives nice personality. As far as weapons go, right here you have Leo's weapons, which are basically like a combination of the swords and the Tricera lances. It's really funny because for a split second I almost forgot, and I almost thought, oh, is this Raph? Because I thought they were combining his weapon with Tricera's weapon, but it's not. It's like meant to be two versions of Leo's sword, which is cool, and they look nice. I think they're very nicely painted. The silver especially looks nice and shiny. They even got the details there for the Tricera coin, so I think they overall look really nice. For Donny, you get two versions of the Power Axe. Like, this is just kind of the regular version. The only complaint I have about it is the gray plastic looks a little cheap, but honestly, it's nothing that I'm that upset about, just something I noticed. You get a sort of bow staff version of it, which is really cool and unique. I really dig that a lot. Again, the gray plastic looks a little bit cheap, but it's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. Talk about the figures themselves. I'm overall really happy with these. Like, just in terms of the design, they're not my absolute favorite. Like, they're not as creative as I thought they maybe could have been. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I still do really dig them, and I've learned to appreciate them more as time has gone on, and I'm just happy that the figures exist. I'm a sucker for anything comic related. Like, anything comic related is on the top of my list personally, and I really like this crossover more than I thought I would, so I was really happy to get these, and I think the figures look great in my opinion. The head sculpt looks really good. The eyes kind of confuse me, not in terms of the figure, but in terms of just existing. They make them look a little bit evil, but I think the head sculpt looks really nice. The figure has a nice shine to it in terms of the paint, which makes it look really professional. The colors look good. They all match up, and if they're different colors, I'm not noticing it. The gold here looks really nice for the shell, and I really do dig that a lot. I think it also has kind of a nice shine to it without looking cheap. With the coin, which looks really good, it's got like a little bit of a detail on there so you can tell it apart. Articulation wise, you do have your sort of par for the course articulation for these. The only difference being is you don't have like waist and chest articulation traditionally because you have the shell, but you do have the nice ball and hinge joint here, all around motion. You have a nice double elbow joint here. You have swiveling at the arm. You have a little bit of a ball joint here at the fist. You have a nice ball joint here at the leg, swiveling at the leg. You got your double knee joint here at the leg, nice hinge ball joint at the foot as well, so you get all around motion there. The head can move up and down a little bit here, and you get 360 movement. So basically your standard Lightning Collection articulation, it's just that he can't move his chest and waist because he's a little bit different. And fortunately, I have no loose joint problems, and honestly, I have very minimal paint mistakes with mine. Like, you can see there's a little nick, but that's not a huge deal to me, like much less of a big deal than if there was like a white glob of paint there or something, or a gold glob of paint. Like, it's just a little bit of a problem, but not a huge deal. Like, overall, they're some of the better looking ones, at least in my opinion. Some of the general quality and look of these figures have been spotty, not the Turtles ones, but Lightning Collection in general, especially in the recent waves, but these are the first ones in a while that they just feel really nice in quality and look. Now, talking about Donny over here, basically the same articulation, no loose joint problem, so I don't need to go over that. We're just kind of going over the look. And the Black Ranger suit is my personal favorite from MMPR/G Ranger, so I like this one extra. And I think the black and gold look really nice together because it's kind of got a bit of that Black Ranger with the gold shield vibe going on there, which I think looks really nice. And again, I think that there's just kind of a more premium feel to these. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just because I was excited for them, but just the way that the paint looks, you got the glossy paint here on the helmet, then a bit of a matte finish here, and I don't have that many paint mistakes. I don't know if anyone that's been getting these has been having a lot of paint mistakes, but for me, they just look extra nice. There's just something extra about them that for the first time in a little while, not that I've hated them or anything, but I got Lightning Collection figures and feel like, wow, this is a really nice collectible that feels worth the money, and I'm just really happy with them. And even though the designs are my absolute absolute favorite. Like I said, they've grown on me, and I'm really happy to get something comic related. And I'm really excited to get the others to flesh out the team. And I'm also really excited to get the Shredder one, because that's personally my favorite design from that, and I'm really looking forward to getting that. But I think they did a really good job on the details. I think this one's helmet especially has a lot of personality. And the nice thing about it too is that because it's like in a comic style, you don't have to worry so much about it getting the proportions exactly wrong. But I feel I got the proportions on this right. Also, just real quick, in case anyone was genuinely curious about their comparison to a regular figure, they're basically about the same height. In fact, depending on how it's posed, regular size Ranger figures are a little bit taller, but these guys are a little bulkier. I just wanted to address that because I think some of the pictures made these guys look like they were big and bulkier, and then they might tower above the Rangers a little bit. But they're basically, I mean, they're obviously the same scale, but like what I mean is these aren't like hugely bigger. They're just kind of more bulkier, but they're basically about the same height. In fact, standing up straight, sometimes these are a little bit taller, but that's kind of the general scale and comparing it to a standard Ranger figure. But that's about it for this one, guys. Like overall, I'm really pleased with these. Like I said, I'm a sucker for anything comic related, and I really liked this crossover, so I was excited to get something unique like this. You know, as excited as I am to get Lightning figures for some of my favorites, I really like getting some of the creations from the comics and other things we haven't gotten before, because there's so many Rangers, like Green Ranger over here, that I own so many variations for, but I don't own a single one of these, and these are a first of their kind, so it's really exciting to get, and I really like them. So I think if you're a Turtles and MMPR fan, and you just like the look of these, or you like the crossover like me, I can definitely recommend checking them out. They're personally two of my favorite Lightning Collection releases in recent years, and I'm excited to cover the other ones in the coming weeks and months. That's about it for this one. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to see notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.